Have you ever felt like your awakening ended? Like the storm passed, the waves calmed, but instead of peace, there's just stillness, silence. You look around your life and everything seems untouched, but inside, something's different. Not louder, not brighter, just more silent than you expected. You wonder, what now? After all the inner earthquakes, after all the revelations, you expected arrival, clarity, maybe even euphoria. But instead, it feels like someone muted the world. And you question if maybe you missed something. Did I do it wrong? Was that really the awakening? Why does it feel so quiet? If this is you, I want you to hear this with your heart. You are not broken. You are not regressing. You are not lost. You are simply entering the next chapter, the quieter one, the deeper one. Because not every transformation looks like fire. Sometimes real transformation looks like still water, holding the reflection of your truest self. And in that stillness, in that space between what was and what is becoming, your soul finally exhales. So no, you're not at the end of your awakening. You're standing at the threshold of something even more sacred. 1. The quiet after the storm. Many people believe that a spiritual awakening is a one-time explosion, a single earth-shattering moment where everything becomes clear and your soul lights up like a supernova. But if you sit with it long enough, if you breathe through the light and let the dust settle, you begin to realize real awakening doesn't shout, it whispers, and it always comes in cycles. There's the rise, that first rush of knowing, of remembering who you truly are, and then there's the fall, the quiet, the still, the sacred pause where everything seems to stop. After the fire, there is ash. Not because something went wrong, but because something burned completely, fully. And what's left behind is not emptiness. It's spaced out. After the blinding light of realization comes a deep, stretching silence. Not empty, but pregnant with everything unspoken. Some people call this stage integration, a time to ground, to embody, to let truth sink from the mind into the bones. Others mistake it for numbness, as if something broke or disappeared. But what if nothing's broken? What if this stillness is your soul taking a breath? For the first time in lifetimes, in a world addicted to constant growth, loud breakthroughs, and fireworks of transformation, we often forget that the most profound shifts happen in the quiet, like how the earth renews itself in winter. Not through movement, but through rest, through stillness, through the hidden work we can't see. So the question is, have you allowed yourself to rest after your awakening? Or are you still chasing the light, forgetting that the real magic is in the pause? 2. You're not broken. You're being rewired. There comes a moment on the path where the colors fade, not into darkness, but into a strange gray. Not painful, not peaceful, just silent. The passions you once danced with now sit quietly in the corner of your soul, like old friends who don't know what to say anymore. You wake up, not sad, not joyful, just suspended, like your spirit is buffering between who you were and who you're becoming. This isn't failure. This isn't depression. This is the sacred in-between. You are not broken. You are being rewired, like a caterpillar dissolving inside the cocoon. Everything you knew is melting. Not to end, but to transform. Your mind tries to label it laziness, burnout, confusion, but the soul speaks in silence. And silence doesn't need fixing. Imagine your inner software being updated. The screen goes black for a while. That doesn't mean the system is broken. It's preparing. You are not meant to rush this pause. You are meant to feel it, to let it pass through you, not patch it up. because something ancient is waking up inside you. But before it can rise, the old noise must fall silent. So instead of reaching for the old sparks, trust the space. Trust the blank page. Trust the part of you that is quietly rearranging the stars. You are not lost. You are being made new. Slowly, quietly, beautifully. Can you honor this pause? Not as a problem, but as a prayer. 3. The butterfly isn't done yet. They always talk about the butterfly. That stunning moment when the wings spread wide and it lifts into the air like magic. But no one talks about what happens right after the cocoon breaks. The breaking open isn't the end. It's just the beginning of another kind of waiting. You see, the wings, they're wet, fragile, trembling. They're not ready to carry you yet. They need time to dry in the quiet sun. They need space to stretch, to shake off what's old, to become strong enough to fly. And maybe that's where you are right now. Not lost, not broken, just not ready to soar yet. There's a sacred stillness in this moment. A space between who you were and who you're becoming. And in that pause, life is doing something mysterious, something invisible, something necessary. You're not behind. You're not failing. You're forming. The butterfly doesn't fly the second it breaks free. It waits. It breathes. It gathers its strength. What if your stillness, this quiet, aching pause, isn't a problem to solve, but a preparation to rise? What if this part, the not flying part, is just as sacred as the flight itself? 4. Relationships start to shift. There comes a moment in your inner journey when the people who once felt like home suddenly feel like a memory of who you used to be. And it's not because you love them any less. It's not rejection. It's not ego. It's simply resonance. You begin to notice that your conversations feel different. Where there was once connection, there is now polite distance. Where laughter once echoed, silence quietly sits. And it's not wrong. It just is. You're tuning into a new station. And it's not that your old friends can't hear you. It's that the frequency has shifted. You're speaking in whispers that come from your soul. And they're still listening with ears tuned to the noise of the world. It's one of the hardest parts of awakening. Feeling alone while surrounded by people. Watching bonds loosen without blame. Feeling your heart open wider, but finding fewer people who can meet you there. But then, someone new enters. Or maybe someone old, but something has changed in them too. And suddenly, you feel seen again. Understood without needing to explain. Like your soul let out a deep breath it didn't know it was holding. Relationships start to become less about shared interests and more about shared energy. You no longer care what people do. You care how they make you feel. Safe, free, present. Some people will drift away, and that will ache. But in their place, soul-aligned connections will quietly appear. The kind where you don't have to shrink or pretend. The kind where your silence is welcome. And when you stop mourning what is no longer, you realize this is not loss. This is space. Space for what's meant to find you in your becoming. So if you feel distant from people right now, maybe it's not that anything's wrong. Maybe it's just that your soul is turning the dial to find who truly hears you. And maybe the question is no longer, why do I feel disconnected? But rather, who do I feel most at peace with now that I've changed? 5. The dark night is the fertile ground. There comes a moment on the path when everything you thought you knew begins to dissolve, and the light you once followed seems to disappear into the shadows. It's not that you've gone the wrong way. It's that the path ahead can no longer be lit by old understandings. You feel the silence more than you hear it. Not the peaceful kind, but the heavy, echoing stillness of a soul in transition. You once believed you had found your way. Found. your truth, found your light. And yet suddenly, you're falling again, this time deeper, quieter, into a place that feels like grief without a name. And it's confusing, isn't it? You did the work. You opened your heart. You shed your old skin. And yet, this, the weight, the emptiness, the quiet sorrow, the feeling that everything you touched is fading away. But what if this isn't the end of the path, but the beginning of the soil? What if this sorrow is not punishment, but preparation? Just like a seed must crack and rot in the ground before it becomes a tree, your old identity, the one built on survival, approval, fear, must die to dot, and that decay, that decomposition. It's not failure. It's not weakness. It's fertilizer. Sacred ground made of every part of you that could no longer carry truth. There's something honest growing beneath this darkness. Something fragile but real. A quiet truth that doesn't need applause or validation. It just needs time. This is when your soul stops blooming for the world and begins rooting for itself. So when you feel like giving up, when everything feels hollow and silent, pause. Close your eyes. Feel what's taking shape beneath the sorrow. You are not lost. You are becoming. Reflection. What truth is quietly emerging beneath your sorrow? 6. From seeking to simply being, there was a time when your soul was restless, constantly reaching, flipping through pages of books, meditating until your legs went numb, listening to every teacher, chasing every whisper of truth as if it lived somewhere far away. You were hungry for answers, starving to understand why life felt so hollow. You believed that if you just searched hard enough, you'd finally arrive. But something subtle has shifted. You don't feel the urgency anymore, not because you found all the answers, but because you've begun to realize maybe the seeking itself was the very thing blocking your seeing. It's like a quiet bell ringing in your chest, not calling you to action, but inviting you to soften, to slow, to listen not with your ears, but with your breath. You start to feel a pull, not to do more, not to achieve more, not to be more impressive or wise or enlightened, but to simply be here, as you are, in this breath, in this moment. And in that stillness, you stop reaching for the divine like it's somewhere outside you, because suddenly you sense it. Not in visions, not in words, but in the sacred rhythm of your inhale and exhale. The sacred was never hidden. You just couldn't feel it while running. You had to stop. You had to get quiet enough to hear the whisper that was never gone. And so, you surrender the need to chase. You no longer treat awakening like a race or a finish line. You are learning the art of simply being. Deeply, vulnerably, honestly. No fireworks, no grand moment, just presence. Just the profound miracle of noticing you are alive. Here. And when you stop looking for meaning, meaning arrives. In the warmth of your chest, in the quiet of your breath, in the aliveness that has always been with you. 7. Coming home to yourself. There comes a moment. Quiet, unannounced. When you realize you're no longer striving to become someone, you're simply allowing yourself to be. And in that allowing, you begin to recognize what's always been there. The stillness you once feared becomes the soft ground you return to. Not because the journey is over, but because you finally understand you were never lost. You were just far from your own presence. This is not the end of your path. It's the beginning of walking as your whole self. No longer chasing light outside of you, but realizing it radiates from within. You stop performing. You stop editing yourself to fit someone else's expectations. The masks fall, one by one, like autumn leaves carried by the wind. And beneath it all, there is stillness, yes, but also an aliveness more vibrant than anything you ever chased. A pulse, a presence, a knowing that you are here. You are whole. It's quiet, but it's not empty. It's not dull. It's sacred. Because for the first time, you are not acting. You are being. And that is everything. You look in the mirror, and it's not perfection that looks back. It's truth. Imperfect, unfiltered, unafraid. And somehow, it feels like coming home. There's nothing left to fix. Nothing left to prove. You breathe, and that's enough. You exist, and that's enough. You are. And that is more than enough. So much of life was spent trying to earn belonging. But now, in this soft return to yourself, you realize you are belonging. No spotlight, no applause, just this holy quiet, and the soft whisper inside that says, I'm here, I'm home. If something in this message stirred something quiet inside you, not loud, not urgent, just a soft flutter of recognition, then trust that. That's not coincidence. That's your soul whispering, gently, patiently, reminding you that you're not broken, you're not late, and you're certainly not lost. You are becoming, in ways that can't always be explained, in rhythms only your heart understands. Becoming isn't something you rush. It's something you remember. It's something you return to. Your story, with all its turns, shadows, silences, and small victories. It matters more than you know, even if no one else sees it yet. Even if you're still learning how to tell it. Your journey is sacred, and maybe, just maybe, someone, somewhere needed to hear your truth. So if you feel moved, share a piece of what you're carrying in the comments. Not to be seen, but to be felt, because your voice might be the echo that softens someone's silence. And if this feels like the kind of space your soul has been quietly seeking, stay a while, tap like, subscribe if you feel called. Not as an obligation, as an offering, a way of saying, I'm here too. Together, maybe we can build something different, something gentle, something real. A quiet little corner of light in this loud and restless world. Thank you for walking this far. Thank you for listening, not just to me, but to yourself. You are not alone. You never were.